Hello, and thank you for joining us for Tiger Talk this month. I'm here this month with Todd Pickthorne. He's our District Technology Coordinator. We're going to talk about some technology things and everything taking place in the district with that. So appreciate you joining me today.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Before we get into the technology things, I have just a few general updates about the district, things taking place that I want to share with you. As we're getting near the end of the academic year, we are in April. We are near the end of April already. I just want to take some time to thank the Pride in the Tiger Foundation. We have a very generous board, very generous donors within that board. They do some great things for our schools. They recently approved over $45,000 in teacher impact grant donations to our schools. So teacher impact grants, the teachers for our private and public schools in town, they write donation requests or grant requests to the Pride in the Tiger board for things that in their classroom can help enhance education for our kids. So teachers have the regular curriculum things the school provides, and these are things above and beyond. It could be some field trips, it could be some extra hands-on manipulatives, it was a wide variety of things that they might ask for. And Pride in the Tiger has just been very generous to our schools with that. We really appreciate all those things, giving our educators that ability to provide these things for our kids right in the classrooms. This time of year, there's so many things taking place in the district across all of the classrooms, thinking about the state testing, the hiring, the end-of-year celebrations, all that stuff taking place. A lot of highlights. I want to share some things with you from the whole district. First thing I want to share is about the wax museums at our fourth grade at Southview Elementary. This takes place every year. If you've had a fourth grader go through our system, the fourth graders every year, they identify a historical figure. They get a book that they check out. They read that book. They prepare a 2 to 5 minute speech that they memorize, and they dress up and they present that speech about this historical figure to people bringing that history to life for people to watch. So that's a fun event that's taking place at Southview, kind of starting to wrap those up for the year with that bit. Also at Southview, we've had some high school students recently come from Mrs. Eben's high school class. They come to visit the fourth graders. They're reading books with them and just interacting with our kids. The fourth graders really enjoy those interactions with kids, knowing that these are kids they see at athletic events throughout the year or other community activities. It's fun to see those connections, and those fourth graders just light up when the high school kids come in to spend some time with them. Our elementary schools, we've had some spring concerts taking place recently. Southview took the stage specifically for second, third, and fourth recently. Their hard work throughout the year preparing those concerts really paid off. They did a great job. Want to throw a shout out to the music teachers, to Mrs. Haltvick and Mr. Trevino. They do a great job getting the kids on stage and performing. It was very, very well done concerts this year. At the middle school, Officer Wilson from the police department, he recently visited with a group of 8th graders. They talked about responsible media use, new driver responsibilities, and positive interactions with law enforcement. So some good connections. We used to have DARE years ago in the district. We don't have that program anymore, but this is a similar type of thing, just building connections with kids and talking about some of those safe, healthy transition items with kids that are important topics. So thank you to Officer Wilson for doing that. Also at the middle school, every year, the Rotary groups in town, the Sunrise Rotary and the Noon Rotary, they partner and they host a 6th grade essay contest for our students. The Rotary group has a 4-way test that they do, and they ask the kids to think about that and write an essay about that. The 4-way test is it the truth? Is it fair? Is it beneficial to all? And will it build goodwill and better friendships? So the kids think about those 4 questions. They write an essay about how that applies to their life. And then the Rotarians go through all those essays and they pick the 3 top winners. They offer a cash prize, which is fun for kids to receive. And they come down and share those essays and announce the winners in a big ceremony at the middle school. And then the winning prize, the winning student comes to a Rotary meeting and shares their essay with the Rotary group. So that recently took place. Congratulations to Haley Tallum. She won first place, and she's the one that shared a Rotary group recently. Second place was Maria Jose, and third place was Kelsey Coden. So congratulations to those kids and all the kids. They wrote some great essays, and really nice to hear the kids talking about that 4-way test and how they apply it. Certainly good values for kids to be thinking about. At the high school, we had the statewide ACT test recently. A lot of testing this time of year in all grade levels, but the ACT is certainly a big one for our kids. We had over 200 juniors participate in that test. This was the 10th year that the state has required high schools to have one statewide testing day, so it happens during the school day, not just on those Saturday morning tests that we used to do. I know when I was in school, it was a Saturday morning. And there's still some opportunities like that, but there is one opportunity every year for all the kids to get that done. So we thank the juniors for their dedication and focus during that time, got that test done, and now they're just patiently waiting the results to come from that. We also had for junior class, again, some recognition recently for the 2025 National Merit Scholarship Program. So a few kids were announced that they are going to be recognized for that. So I want to say congratulations to Ryan Botsford, Carter Gerke, Jack Gunn, Liam Cruz, Ben Pafko, Mark Rabe, and David Sturrock. Great accomplishment for those kids, so congratulations to you guys for that. Last week, we had a career fair we had planned. It was supposed to happen a few weeks back. We had a snowstorm that day, so we had to postpone our career fair. This is our second year we've done this. Very well-attended event. We had almost 50 different vendors come, local employers, set up a booth. They had a lot of hands-on thing for our kids to see. And they just got, all of the high school and Maytech kids got a chance to come and visit those booths and talk about employment things that are available right here in Marshall and learn some more about talking to the person, the representative from that business about that job, what that looks like. Some people have jobs that are available right now or for the summer for students. So we had an interview room set up and employers could go to the interview room with kids and they could do an interview right on the spot and kid could leave with an employment offer for the summer. Some of them was more for the future, thinking about what do you want to do after high school, and let me talk about those opportunities. That was just, it's a great event. Kids come home with all the little knick-knack things that employers pass out. That's fun for the kids with that. Got some hands-on experience, got to ask and answer some questions about different employment things. So really enjoy that opportunity, and big thank you to all the employers that came and participated in that event. Without that support, we just can't do those things for our kids, and we know that's great for the kids, so thank you for that. Another opportunity our students recently had, our CNA class from the CTI Center. They recently came over and visited SMSU, and they got to visit the virtual cadaver lab. So this was something pretty cool for the kids too. It's a table that's like a computer screen, and they have a cadaver scanned into this screen so they can go through and see like the veins and arteries. They can see the different nervous system pieces. They can see the organs and how that all interacts together, and they can peel back the layers in the computer screen. And the kids just, it was a great experience for our kids to get to see that. Very, very nice tool. Big thanks to SMSU for sharing that with our kids, and just that opportunity for them to get to see that. I know the teachers were pretty excited about that as well. That was a cool experience. Last thing that I want to just share is a event, encourage people to mark their calendars. Coming up on Wednesday, May 22nd, we have our CEO Trade Show. This is our second annual one. It's our second year of CEO program, so the Trade Show. This is those kids that have been in CEO. We've talked about it before in the show. Throughout the year, they're learning about preparing their own business and learning about running their own business. And now they've actually, all those students in that class have started a business. At the trade show, they all set up a booth and they're actually selling some of the items or promoting the items that they're doing for their personal businesses. So that is, again, on Wednesday the 22nd at True Shrimp in Ballatin from 5 until 7 o'clock. At 6:30 that evening, there's going to be a live auction, a benefit auction, where the students, some of the student products will be auctioned off. The Silver Dollar Auction Company will be doing that. Braxton Seifert's a student from the program from last year. He runs that auction company, and he's volunteering his time to come and do that auction. The proceeds from those items all go into a fund. It's the for the alumni of the CEO program. So for students who have gone through CEO, if they're coming back later and expanding their business or doing something extra with their business, they can apply to get some of those funds to help expand a business later in the future. So an ongoing thing to keep these students engaged in the community, and just a great opportunity there. So you can participate in the auction, or you can come and a lot of them will have items available to purchase right there. You can try out. There's some doing candies and breads and sweet things. There's some doing installation of lights on like farm implements, that sort of thing. There's someone is doing a violin. We can hire him to come and play violin for you for different events. A lot of just great things the kids are doing. Encourage you to stop by and check this out. It's a highlight of our year for that program, and certainly all that work with our CEO and our career and technical training that we're doing for kids. This is a program I'm really excited about to see just where this continues to go, and it's so fun to see the kids putting that together. So hope you can make it and join us for that. That event is also a chamber after-hours event, so you'll see events or information that coming from the chamber as well. All right, let's talk about technology a little bit. So Todd, thank you for joining me today. District Technology Coordinator. So that's a title. You do a lot with technology in the district, kind of overseeing the whole district, all those behind the scenes things, if you will. So make sure that every kid's computer is not just that they have a computer, but that the internet connection is there for that computer to go, and the apps they want to go are downloaded and ready to load. There's a lot of behind the scenes things that happen with our technology program that I think people take for granted, and I'm certainly excited about within our system how well our system runs. A big thank you to you for all your work with that, because that's a lot to make sure that goes. I know I struggle at home to keep mine going for a couple things we have there, but keeping that going for the whole district is a big job, and you certainly do a great job with that.
Thank you.
You recently presented at a school board meeting, so we're going to talk about some things specifically to what's going on. I know the first thing we talked about is technology vision. So some of that, keeping all those behind the scenes things going, the vision plays a big part in that. Can you talk a little bit about that and kind of how you view that for the district?
Yeah, it sure does. So for Marshall Public Schools, our technology vision is that MPS students, parents, and educators will use communication and information technologies to advance learning and teaching in preparation for a technology-rich global society.
And that fits in perfectly with our district mission. We're preparing all learners for success. What success look like? Our world certainly is a global society. We see that in all these different aspects. So I think that ties in perfectly as we're preparing them for that future success. Yeah. And technology is going to be a part of that, whether someone likes it or not in any profession. That's a big piece.
Yeah, we've certainly seen a technology-rich global society recently. So
yeah, absolutely. So each year we do a technology survey that goes out to our families and our kids and gather some information about how it's working for them or their perspectives on different things. And that helps as you're thinking about the future years. We do the same thing in the district with different things, just thinking about where should our focus areas be for next year. So can you share a little bit about some highlights from that survey for this year?
Yep. So the previous program that we used was discontinued, unfortunately, so we had to look at a different solution. The solution that we chose, we liked the question bank and the information that it presented to people, but they had trouble with the data when we were analyzing it, so there was only a few parts of that survey that we were able to use. But we felt comfortable with the student questions, and a couple highlights from that would be these are students in grades 3 through 12 that took the survey, and we asked the question of frequency of technology use in class, and over 93% of the students responded daily. And that tracks because we have some classes like out at CTI where they don't use them daily and different things. So the other one would be internet access at home. That was over 95%. I want to mention that we do have hotspots available for them to check out. If they want a hotspot, don't have internet access at home, we do have those available for them. So come see us if that is a challenge for you at home. But yeah, those are a couple of the highlights from that survey. We also got some open-ended questions that had a lot of good feedback.
Some good information. Good. I know one of the things I often hear you talking about, Todd, is cybersecurity and just that online safety piece. It's something we talk to kids about from when they're little, but it's something that I think, again, we talk about taking things for granted. You sometimes just take for granted the system is safe or it's secure, and you get an email, you can click on it. So talk a little bit about that cybersecurity piece and some things that you've done specifically to try and secure our environment in the school.
Sure. So one of the first recommendations they have when you talk about cybersecurity is to turn on multi-factor authentication. What that is kind of like your bank account where you not only need to know a username and password, but you also need to have another form of verifying that it's you. Yep. So we have in place that for all of our students and staff. So I would recommend turning on multi-factor authentication for any accounts that have secure data in it.
A little extra step that can really help keep things safe.
Right. I want to mention too that staff and students can still access their account if they set up MFA from like a home device. If they don't have it set up, MFA with the school, it doesn't give them that second prompt, so they can't log into their account from a home device. Mm-hmm. So they need to come in and make sure we have that secondary form of authentication set up for those devices. So on snow days, we got a few calls on that they couldn't log in, they didn't have their student device. Sure. They wanted to log in from home. So just a reminder that that's still possible. It's just a little different way of getting in. You have to have that second step.
Right.
So.
No, that's good. I know one of the things we talk about cybersecurity, we tease you about going fishing at school. So talk a little bit about your fishing expeditions at school to try and keep the system safe too.
Yeah, we've kind of developed a routine where we're doing that on a regular basis now, where we're internally fishing so that it gives us an opportunity to test and make sure that people don't click on links that they're not expecting, and different things that get you into trouble when it comes to fishing expeditions. You don't want to open up those attachments from an unknown source, and when they fail to do it properly, it does give them education on it. So it's a nice fail-safe way of training them as we're going through that process.
Right. So no walleye fishing, but
Yeah.
just trying to help people be more aware that there are a lot of links that come out that we do have to be extra cautious with. So
For sure, yeah.
watching those
Yeah.
carefully, and I know you give some really good tips to staff to look for in that too, and
Yeah.
making sure we're
Yeah.
following those. So
Yeah.
that's a good way to make people aware of those things.
Yeah.
One of the things you talked about recently is the switch upgrades in the district. I think that happened throughout the whole district. And we're not talking light switches by the front door. We're talking about some behind-the-scenes switches. Talk a little bit about that process.
So the switches are the devices in each one of our wiring closet that everything connects to. And that role has changed in that a lot of times now the devices are getting their power from those switches as well. So to make an access point work, you've got to plug it in up in the ceiling, and then the cord runs down to the wiring closet, plugs into the switch. The switch actually provides power to make that thing work. So we replaced 47, 48 port switches throughout the district in most of the buildings during the school year. And we did this after school was out. We just did it a closet at a time. I think there was almost 2,300 ports that got reconfigured and rehooked up as part of that process. So it was a big undertaking. The newer switches provide more efficient power and improved speed as well. So it doubled the speed of our connections to our wireless access points, and just kind of more efficient way of connecting things.
Yeah, you did a great job with that to upgrade all those pieces with so little downtime, so staff didn't even notice it was happening while it happened. So maybe this would be a good time to mention too some of your team, because we do have a team that works with you, and they do a great job. So
Right.
maybe highlight them a second here too.
They do a great job. So I have two technicians that worked on this project specifically, in Nicholas Esping and Kent Powell. And I can't say enough how much I appreciate their work. They're very efficient at what they do, and they do a great job of communicating that within the building, and just making sure that it gets done in a timely and efficient manner. I know that they played a big role in making sure this was done efficiently and quickly.
Yeah.
And the other one I'll mention is Karen Longren. She does a lot of our trainings when it comes to some of the stuff that we'll talk about shortly here, and AI and just usage of technology throughout the district.
Yeah. Well, you guys do a great job. We certainly appreciate all the work you do. One of the things that we've been talking about a lot in the district that maybe people will more notice when they walk in our classrooms are the Newline flat panel screens. So for a lot of years, we talked about smart boards in the classrooms. I remember when I was still teaching in the classroom, we had, I never got one because I was kind of transitioning out at that time, but we're talking about bringing those smart boards into the classrooms and this amazing technology that's now outdated, and there's some new things coming in. So talk a little bit about those boards and why we're doing those.
Right. So what we've been putting in, we started with Southview Elementary. We put in Newline Interactive Flat Panels, or IFPs they call them. But they are 86-inch 4K ultra high definition touchscreen TVs that allow the classroom to bring more collaboration. It's like a smartboard, but it's just much brighter and more vivid and easier to see from all the angles. You don't need a projector. I have no bulbs to replace. They just have a nice bright display in the classroom. Really changes that environment. In some of our classrooms, the lights need to be off so you can see the projector correctly. Some of those have been in place since 2005 in our high school, and that's when we opened the high school, so it was, it's been in place for a number of years. It doesn't seem like it's that long ago, but
Right.
that technology doesn't age well, so.
No.
That,
I still had an overhead projector when I was in the classroom, but yeah, things do certainly change, and we want to make sure our staff has the most current technology that can be the best support for our students as we're
Yeah,
preparing them for
yeah.
success. So,
One more thing on that is we outfitted those with a wireless keyboard and mouse and then added a computer to the back so they can actually log into the screen like a regular computer and walk around the room and collaborate with that device, and they can actually cast from a student device to that if they need to. So it's very versatile. That classroom technology is important to have modern because of the tools that it provides. So.
right, I'm thinking about getting kids ready for the workforce. Speaking of getting kids ready for the workforce in the world after high school, you touched on just a minute ago artificial intelligence. So AI is something we're seeing changing daily in the real world. You know, we think about all the implications that's going to have in education as well. So your team has done a lot of work around that. Talk a little bit about what is going on with AI right now.
Yep. So AI has been around for many years, but what has changed recently with the launch of ChatGPT and similar tools, fall of 2022, is now it can generate information. So it can generate creative writing, images, even videos. There's so many things in education that can now be generated automatically. So you want to do content for 6th grade science, you can, if you prompt the ChatGPT for the right information, it will give you information on that topic very easily. So the preparation time really gets cut down for some classrooms when they can use AI for those tasks.
Yeah. So they can use that, but there's got to be some risks and benefits involved.
Yeah.
Share a little bit about that.
So there's definitely benefits of using AI in education. Here's a few, but this is not limiting. So content development and differentiation, assessment design and timely effective feedback, tutoring and personalized learning assistance, aiding creativity and collaboration, operational and administrative efficiency. But there are also potential risks that we all need to keep on the forefront as we begin to implement this resource. For example, misinformation or errors in the data output, accountability, privacy and potential of data security compromise, the risk of over-reliance. Used properly, AI can facilitate critical thinking skills. There's a lack of cultural or societal bias. So any AI output cannot be taken at face value,
Right.
but must be evaluated by the user. The human element is more important than ever.
Right. I know one of the examples I think about is Kieran had done a training with us and had AI generate a picture of a person doing something, and the person had their hand up and there were 6 fingers on the hand.
Yeah.
And at a glance, it looks great, but
Yeah.
you look at it, it's like, okay, there's something wrong with this
Yeah,
picture.
yeah.
So just
Yeah.
being aware and paying extra attention to some of that stuff. So when we think about that, and as you're talking to teachers specifically, because we do have a number of teachers starting to explore how to use AI in their classroom, what are some best practice things to consider?
Yeah. So number one would be to check for bias and accuracy. AI might occasionally produce biased or incorrect content. Always double check before sharing the information with students.
Yeah.
And I like to say the 80-20 approach. Use AI for the initial work, but make sure to add your final touch. Review for bias and accuracy, and contextualize appropriately for the last 20%. So
Sure.
you want to make sure you're finalizing that and checking it for accuracy. And third off, your judgment matters. We had an example of that with our high school teacher, Chris Schuckart, who talked to the school board about he knows how the students write, and when they're now turning in content that doesn't sound like they're writing, it's pretty obvious. And AI can be a tool that spurs that creativity, or it can be a tool that they're using for other purposes, but they need to know the content, and that's the whole thing. And the other part of that is you need to ask appropriate content, or content that will give you good information back. If you're not asking the right questions, it's not very good at giving you the information in the way that you're looking for. So.
Sure. So I know we talked, when we talked at the board meeting about this, we visited about when calculators first were introduced and the uproar about kids aren't going to have calculators in their pockets.
Yeah.
Now you think about our iPhones in our pockets that do so much more. You think about when the internet first came out, how we don't know what to do with that, or even having kids with cell phones now. I mean, we still talk about that, kids with their cell phone, and what are we going to allow in the classroom, and what won't we allow in the classroom. AI, our conversation hasn't been around. We got to stop kids from using it because it's real. It's part of society. It's going to become part of everyday life. It is just kind of part of everyday life.
Right.
So the conversation is so much more about what you're just talking about. How do we teach kids to use it appropriately as a tool or as a resource to enhance their learning, not to get around doing the learning part of it. So.
Right. I'll add too that, protect your privacy. You don't ever want to include personal information in those requests for information. So it's it's important to look at what you want from that AI tool. And we're partnering with a solution that helps us to remove accidentally submitted information. So the tools there's no one tool that is all of AI.
Right.
There's multiple AI components now that are coming out in all kinds of tools. So
Right.
selecting those right partners for AI tools in the classroom.
Right. That leads me to the next question. You mentioned ChatGPT, and there's so many different tools available out there. Part of our job as we're teaching students to use it appropriately and helping staff know how to use it in the classroom is maybe selecting some tools to encourage them to use. Right. So I know we've partnered with a tool or kind of selected one that we're partnering with a little bit, Magic School that we're using. Talk a little bit about that and why you selected that one.
Yeah, one tool that rose to the top was Magic School AI. It's an easy to learn, has a user-friendly interface, has over 60 built-in tools that help to take a lot of the guesswork out of using AI. It kind of prompts you to prompt that resource for the information. So those very template-driven. It also meets our state and federal data privacy requirements, so that's a big part for me. And as indicated by its name, it's dedicated to the educational environment, so that's huge.
Right. I think that's so important as we think about what meets those requirements, as we talk about cybersecurity, we talk about all these different pieces, how to keep kids safe. I know I think about my own kids. My youngest came home the other day, and he was frustrated. He says, "Dad, I really like this math game I play online, but I can't get it on my school device anymore." He says, "Yeah, the one where you click on and like all these pop-ups come up, there's probably a reason that's been blocked. You don't know what some of those things are." He says, "Our guys are working so hard to make sure that we have things that are safe for you to be on." So that's something to make sure we keep teaching our kids. So thinking about all these different pieces, just share maybe a couple of specific things that we've done to facilitate that use of AI in the classrooms.
Sure. So I had mentioned before Karen Longren, her and I met on a regular basis throughout this year, and we kind of developed a guidelines and principles document that we added to our digital learning handbook, which is a handbook that parents see as they go through registration or online registration verification. But this helps to provide support for teachers as they implement new tools and kind of outlines the responsible and ethical use of these tools for staff and students. These guidelines and principles are based off AI Guidance for Schools Toolkit, which was developed by cooperatively by representatives from COSN, Code.org, Digital Promise, and other agencies that helped with that in response to a lack of AI guidance provided at the state level. So I know there are some states that are working on state-level AI guidance, and we'll get there soon, I think.
Yeah, because it's just changing so quickly.
It is. It really is changing. Every time I look at this, it's a new state that is talking about different guidance and information that's out there on the use of these tools. So we'll continue to monitor and adjust our AI usage as this technology changes and the needs of staff and students evolve, because there's new tools available for staff and students on a daily basis, it seems like. So.
Right. No, that's great. Well, Todd, I appreciate being with me today. I appreciate you sharing about our technology department. So something that I'm very proud of within our Marshall Public Schools, the tools we have available for staff and students. I really think as we talk about those missions where we started our conversation today, preparing kids for success in that global society, being ready for careers in the real world, all of these tools are a huge piece of making that happen.
Yeah.
You do a great job, you and your team,
Thank
just
you.
making sure that system is up and running and our kids have access of the most current things right at their fingertips. So thank you for all your work with that.
Thank you. Yeah,
Viewers, we appreciate you watching this month. We look forward to seeing you next month.
thank you.